Hi, my name is Cathy Neptune, and welcome to my kitchen. We're going to celebrate the autumn fall season, and we're going to do a fall fest tonight. And we're going to start out with a dessert. And I think you're going to like this. It has many different variations. And we're doing pumpkin whoopie pies tonight. And then we're going to do a sausage and cabbage and apple bake in the oven, and it starts out with a skillet, and then we're going to have a wonderful cider spritzer, and I think you'll enjoy that. We have a lot of different variations, and we'll talk about that as we go along. So the longest preparation is going to be our pumpkin whoopie pies. It's always good to start with dessert first. And in a bowl here, I have 2 cups of flour, and we're going to add to this our dry ingredients. In this dish here, I have a teaspoon each of baking powder and baking soda. And then we have a teaspoon of cinnamon. And you can also use pumpkin pie spice if you'd like, which is basically a combination of ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, and a teaspoon of salt. And those are our dry ingredients. And we're going to mix this up. And in our audience tonight, Louisa's back. Hi, Louisa.
Hi there.
Have you ever made whoopie pies?
No, they're my favorite.
Yeah, the chocolate ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the traditional ones, but you're going to like these, I hope. So we're going to set that aside. And then we're going to have our wet ingredients, and we're going to do some softened butter, and I'm going to get out an egg and add an egg to this. And we're going to cream all this together with some sugar. Excuse my back. And let's add the sugar first. You always want to mix that because it makes for a fluffier consistency. So we have half a cup of sugar in there. And I think I'm going to add another, let's see, 1/2 cup. It should be a whole cup of sugar. So I'm going to put that in. And this just smells so good when it's baking. Anything with pumpkin and spice is just a great thing to do. And they're easy to take if you're going on a picnic or for lunches, and it's a good recipe too for your Thanksgiving coming up. So we're going to cream that together with our mixer. And I'm not really a baker, but this is something I like to do because it's not a lot of fussy things. It's basically mixing. And start out very low so you don't get this all over the place. I'm going to turn that off and add 1 egg. And remember that trick about hitting your egg on a flat surface so you don't push the eggshells, into your bowl. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And it doesn't hurt if you add a little more vanilla. You never have too much vanilla. And then 1.5 cups of just regular pumpkin pie filling. I'm going to put this in a cup. And it should be a little bit less than a whole can. And this is really the hardest part. And then you bake these for about 14 minutes. So that's 1/2 cup. And another 1/2 cup. And you can certainly do your own pumpkins, but you have to be aware that, did you know there's certain kind of pumpkins that you use only for baking? There's the ornamental ones that we carve for jack-o'-lanterns, but you want to get a sugar pumpkin because they're denser than a regular decorative pumpkin. So we're a little bit shy of using the whole can. See, there's not much left, but it's important that you measure when you're doing baking because it really impacts how things come out. So as much as it's killing me to measure, I am measuring. And that's 1 and 1/2 cups of pumpkin. Mixing all that together. And then we're just going to add in our flour, baking soda, salt, cinnamon, and I'm using a recipe here So, yep. And then we're just going to basically, I think, stir in the flour and everything. You don't want to make your mixture tough. If you mix it with a beater, the flour is going to get very, the gluten's going to come out and make your batter very tough. So to eliminate that problem, we're just going to take and blend in your flour mixture very carefully, half at a time. And it's important to use a polka dot colored spatula because this is a serious recipe. Now remember, I'm not a baker and I can make this, so I'm sure you can too. And the cinnamon smells really good. Sometimes as a variation, I put in some orange peel, like orange zest. Fresh orange zest in here is awesome. Or my new favorite to put in everything, and you'll see why later when we use our crystallized ginger, is awesome. So you could certainly add that and spice it up a little bit. So you want to mix this and make a mess all over the counter if you can, because that makes it fun. And it looks like it's not going to mix in, but you see it will. Oh, this, you know what it smells like? Pumpkin pie. So how does it look so far, Louisa? This doesn't look too tricky, does it?
No.
And then I'm going to blend this up, because if you don't do it thoroughly, you're going to have white lumps all over it. It won't bake out, so you want to make sure you blend it all together. It certainly is easier than baking a pumpkin pie, but you still have the pumpkin theme to it. So go ahead and give this a try. And you can bake these and freeze them ahead of time and then fill them later. We're going to do a cream cheese filling. Yum. But you know what? There won't be any left to freeze, I promise. And I'm going to go over here and take our baking sheet. And I have the oven preheated. And this is always a good idea to spray your cookie scoops. And I'm going to do little ones too. I'm going to bring some of those tomorrow to some of my friends. And the reason I love using cookie scoops is they come out evenly. If you didn't and you use just a scoop, a regular spoon and put them on the baking sheet, you'd have to match them up when they come out because they'd be different sizes. But the scoop keeps them a certain size, which is nice. These are going to be big, which is not a bad thing. And these only take, like I said, 14 minutes to bake. And you want to space them a little bit because that works really good. I think these are actually less work than the chocolate ones because you don't have to deal with a whole lot of ingredients. And these will probably make easily 6, 8, because we're going to use a top and a bottom on these. And those are going to go in the oven and bake for about 14 minutes. I'm going to set the timer. And those should be done. We're going to get all set up for our main recipe. So we'll be right back. These look good. Welcome back. I browned my sausage and I'm using some kielbasa, turkey kielbasa, and these are chicken sausage with roasted garlic and herbs. And I'm putting this back on the stove and we're going to cut up some cabbage and other good things for our saute, sausage saute. We're going to have apples. And let's do a big hunk of red cabbage, which I love this time of year. It's so pretty and colorful. And Louise, you were asking me before if I'd use green cabbage, and you could go for color on this. But I certainly would use whatever's available to you. I think they're both interchangeable, in the red or the green. We're going to slice this up, and I have my skillet, the same skillet I used for the sausage, because it has a lot of good flavor in it. And we're slicing up the cabbage. And you probably want to use a medium size. And it all cooks down really well. And I'm going to use olive oil in the skillet as soon as it's heated up. But you could certainly use butter or vegetable oil, whatever you're comfortable with. And there's no exact measurements on here. You just add as much cabbage till you get tired of chopping cabbage. Remember, you can always write in or email me for these exact recipes as close as I can get them. But you probably noticed by now that there isn't a whole lot of science to this, except when you're baking. I'm careful to do that. So that's probably enough of the cabbage leaves. And this is all going to cook down. And I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to our skillet. And make sure you have a large enough skillet to accommodate all of this. I'm going to put that in. And that's going to heat up. And we're going to add that into the pan. And we're going to also cut up an onion. And you can use a red onion or a yellow onion, whatever you like. I'm going to use a yellow onion just because it'll show up better. The red on the red would probably get lost with a red onion. So we're doing this. Oh, I can smell the pumpkin whoopie pies going. They smell really good. And that's all going in. I'm going to turn up the heat a little more and cook them down. I'm going to add onion and garlic to that. And we have our horseradish and some mustard and some brown sugar and garlic. So here's our onion. I'm going to saute this in there. And you probably want one medium-sized onion like so. Again, no measurements, just whatever you have is good. And everybody has asked throughout the years, how do you slice an onion without crying? The onion has certain enzymes in it that react. So the best way to chop or dice or slice an onion without crying is to have somebody else do it for you. And it's worked really well. I've lost a lot of friends that way, but it's a great way to do it. All about these cooking tricks and techniques. Right, Louisa?
Right.
So you can see there's nothing fancy or fussy about doing this that I know of. I'm going to put all that in. See, now my eyes are starting to tear up. Louisa, you should have done this so we would have a problem. I didn't hear you volunteering. So we'll put that in. And let's get this going with a nice scoop. And then just going to saute those about 3 minutes. And I'm going to add a little bit of garlic too. But I don't like to add the garlic until this is going to saute for about 4 minutes just to soften it up. And then we're going to add some liquids to it. But I'm not going to do the garlic until near the end because I don't want it to get bitter or overcook. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to add some brown sugar. We have a little cup here. And these are the liquid ingredients that we're going to use. So we're going to stir in some apple cider, half a cup of apple cider vinegar. And these are probably things that you have on hand anyway. And then we're going to do a little bit of Dijon mustard. And that's probably a tablespoon or so. And I said Dijon. You could use Dijon, but I happen to have some spicy brown mustard. So I'm doing that. And then I love horseradish. So I'm adding a good amount. Do you like horseradish? Too late because it's already in there. I love it. And then I'm going to add a little salt. Once that gets going, I'm going to add some salt and pepper to that too. And 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, more or less. And this is going to take the edge off of the beer that we're putting in. I'll blend that together. Actually, I'm going to put a little more of the brown sugar in. And you notice I measure this carefully. But that's why I'm more of a cook than a baker, because I don't measure a whole lot. And then we're going to add a whole 12 ounces of beer. So this is 15 ounces. No, this is 12 ounces, so we're good. Oh, there won't be any left. That's okay. We'll get over it. So I'm just going to add a little bit to get it going and then pour the rest in. That looks good. Going to tend to our cabbage over here and add a little bit of salt. Probably 2 teaspoons. Oh, I hear the beeper. What does that mean, Louisa?
The Whoopie Pies are done.
Let me see. These look really good. So we added salt and a little bit of pepper. That smells really good too. So we got our pepper and our salt. Our cabbage is going. We're going to take out the Whoopie Pies. Now you need to have fall colored pot holders because it just won't taste the same. Oh, Whoopie. They came out really good. And see how nice and evenly they come out? That's the secret to using a scoop. Yep, these are good. And they're going to cool down. And look what else I did. I made little mini ones too. And these are like little bite size. These are great. For a football game and you want just a little something extra on the side, they're like single servings. They're great. Or if you're on a diet too and you don't want to eat a whole lot, you can have like 4 of those because they're little. I'm going to leave those in a little bit longer, these 2. I think they need a few more minutes, but no big deal. I'm going to add this. That's good. It just takes a few minutes to do that. We'll keep our beer on the side. And now I think it's good to add some of our garlic in because that's almost done. And I love this garlic press. Remember to email me if you want to get these tools. You have one of these, right, Louisa?
I do.
And always use fresh garlic. It's important. It makes a huge difference. Fresh ingredients. So we're going to add that into the pot. And look, the peel comes right out. So you don't have to peel your garlic. Let's do 2 because we're brave. You put it right in there. And try and hit the pan. That's important. And that's it for the garlic. You can certainly taste this if you want more. But I think that'll be good. You want to be able to taste all the other components. I'm going to peel some apples. And Lisa, did you have any questions?
Can you use other meats for the saute
Oh, instead of the sausage?
instead of sausages?
I bet you could use spare ribs, but you'd have to cook it longer. What? Knockwurst. That's yeah. Bratwurst, any of those wurst. Regular Polska kielbasa, any kind of smoked meats. I've even seen it done with a linguiça sausage. And instead of the apples, You could do red peppers and make it really colorful. And you can also substitute the beer that we're going to put in for wine, which is good. And of course, any kind of apple that you prefer is a great way to go as well. So got all these going. And depending on the size of the apples, you can add more or less. That's why I love these recipes. You can't make a mistake on them. And we're going to add the apples last because we're going to either finish, you could finish cooking this on top of the stove if you like, but I'm just going to cover it and pop it in the oven because I like to have my serving dishes warm because it'll keep the food warmer and it makes a nice presentation when you put it on the table to serve. So I'm just going to put everything right now and then finish cooking it in the oven, which will be good. So this sounds like it's doing pretty good here. You want to make sure and cook all the onions down and the garlic so that you don't have a raw onion flavor to this. So we're almost ready to add our beer mixture. And you just want to slice the apples so they're in chunks, but not too big a chunk. But these are fairly soft apples so that they're going to cook down. You want to have apples that have a little bit of body to them. Green Granny Smith galas would be good, but I wouldn't use Macintosh. I think they just get too mushy. But you want to make sure you taste the apple and have a bite. A little piece of apple in every bite. And the main point, I think, on all of these ingredients is to still have some texture, the crispness of this cabbage and the apples, a little bite of the onion in there, so that it's fun to eat it. I like to have texture. You feel full, and it feels like you kind of had a workout chewing. So let's see, I think our pumpkin is done. Yep, these are perfect. So you can see how much this made, and you can certainly do all the larger ones, but it's kind of fun to mix it up. And they're good if you have people at your work that love to eat, and this is a nice little treat to bring in with the bite-sized pieces. It feeds and serves a lot more. So I'm going to lower this down a little bit. And then we're going to add in our liquids, which is the horseradish and mustard and beer and brown sugar. And don't worry if it's not all blended, the mustard and so forth, because it's all going to cook down together. I'm going to pour the rest of the beer in there. And you could certainly serve this to children because the alcohol is all going to cook down. So it's not a problem. I'm keeping my oven on because, as I mentioned, we're going to bake this in the oven and finish it off. And we're going to simmer this for another 4 minutes. We're going to finish it off with the apples and the sausage when we come back. Welcome back. Our cabbage and onions and garlic have been sauteing with the liquid. Remember, we added the liquid. And we're going to add some apples and simmer it just a little bit longer, probably another 5 minutes. And the cabbage has turned a beautiful purple magenta red. So that's good to go. And we're just going to toss that a little bit, mix it up. And the apples are going to add a lot of sweetness to this besides the brown sugar. And it's going to be offset by the mustard and the vinegar, and of course that wonderful beer. And you can use any kind of lager beer if you like a darker flavor. I left it kind of light. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to move this aside, and we're going to start on the filling. Look at our whoopie pies have come out of the oven. And they're beautifully done. These are the small ones. I put the larger ones in the oven to bake a little bit more because I thought they needed them. And we're going to start with our filling. And I have 8 ounces of softened cream cheese that you can just soften in the microwave on low for a few minutes, and about a 1/3 cup of confectioner sugar. And there's nothing to this really. It's this is homemade vanilla extract. You use vanilla beans, you can get them anywhere. We add probably a good 1/2 teaspoon, and you do either vodka or brandy, unflavored brandy, and let it set, and it lasts forever. The alcohol preserves the flavor in the vanilla beans, and there's nothing like it. And I used the other vanilla, the store-bought vanilla, in the cake because that won't be as pronounced. But when you're doing something raw like this in a filling, you want to really taste that vanilla. And do yourself a favor and get real vanilla extract. No imitation here, because it makes a huge difference. So we're going to beat this together. Until it's all blended together. It doesn't take very long to do it at all. I'm going to put that into a piping bag, or you could use just a spatula if you'd like. And I'm going to give another little stir to our mixture over here. We got a lot going on today. And I'm going to check on the whoopie pies. Be careful not to splash this on you because it does leave a stain of purple. Or just wear something purple when you're making this, and it won't matter. So we're going to do that. Let me check on my whoopie pies. Oh, I think those look pretty good. Yep, those have a little more. I think they took a little longer than I thought on those, but I'm going to take these small ones that we did earlier, and I'm going to add that to a pastry bag to make it a little easier. Pastry tool that I use, and fill it here. And it's a nice fluffy filling. If you didn't want to make homemade filling, you could certainly buy a store-bought frosting, but this is just something special when you make everything homemade. You could serve these just like this too. They're really good, but this is just over the top. Sometimes I add pecans to the batter, but I think in this day and age, so many people are allergic to nuts. Wouldn't you leave the nuts out too, Louisa? Yeah, just because you never know, and you gotta be so careful. So that's that, and then we put the top on. This is, again, another one of my favorite tools. I use this for everything. And it has a little cover on the bottom. And then, let me get my platter. Put this here. And we're going to fill these just with a little bit like that, and then top it with another one. And you keep going till they're all filled, like so. This is a great job for kids to do. And you can keep these in the refrigerator if you're not serving them right away, because the cream cheese will go bad. So you want to make sure and be safe. That has a little less. Let me stir the cabbage one more time and turn it off. And I think I'm going to take these out of the oven. the larger ones. Those took a little longer than I thought, but I made them really extra big because they're extra good that way. I'm going to finish filling these. Got an assembly line going. Let's see if we have enough on these. I have another batch over there too if we run low on these. We have some more over here. Put these here. And you can see why I love the little cookie scoops, because they're just the right size for whichever ones that you want. And then put that on the side. We'll finish some larger ones later. And I want to show you how we're going to assemble this and put this in the oven and finish this in the oven. So again, moving away from you, we're going to take all of this. Look at that gorgeous color. And please be careful with this. And you can pour it into a platter, but pour it away from you so that you get it all over the cameraman and not on you. So there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Smells good too. It smells a lot of flavors coming through on that. And then we're going to add in our beautiful sausage that we browned. Remember that? And you can see this is really a one-pot dinner. So I'm going to just kind of nestle these inside. And it's so fun because you can do your own variations with all different flavors and have a different combination every single time. And this serves a lot of people. You can double, triple the recipe, or you can just make it for two, depending on what your goal is. Look at how beautiful that is. All the colors, the flavors, one dish meals are awesome. I'm going to cover that with some foil and pop it in the oven for just about 10 minutes for the flavors and the juices to get all infused into that wonderful sausage that we did. And I've left the oven on at 350, and this will be 10 minutes. And we'll come back and serve everything. We'll do our drinks as well. We'll see you soon. Welcome back. We have our sausage and cabbage apple casserole in the oven for about 8 minutes, and that's about done. We have our whoopie pies ready to go, and I'm going to make you a fun drink. And we started with some fresh apple cider, and that's the best. I just think apple cider is the way to go. It makes a huge difference. And we're going to rim our glasses. This is fun. I have a little water here. And you dip your glass in there, and then cinnamon and sugar mixture on the rim. And we're going to pour in a little bit of cider. And I don't put ice in this because I don't want to dilute it. So we're going to pop open some good brand ginger ale and add that for the fizz. And a skewer that I did with grapes, candied ginger, and I put them in the freezer, which makes a nice garnish on your cider fizz. And how fun is that? And even the children can have these. So we'll fill them up. Might as well do a couple of them. And a lot of this you could do ahead of time. There's nothing here that's rocket science. You can add as much or as little as you want to these. And you can even mix it up and use like a cranberry ginger ale or raspberry ginger ale, according to your tastes and the seasons and what you like. There's no measuring. Not here. We're going to put that in. And there are your cider fizz drinks. Put all that together. Looks pretty good. And when we come back, we're going to have everything presented out for you. So we'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to our fall feast. If nothing else, this to me says autumn on a plate. Look at our beautiful casserole with all these wonderful sausages. It's just so homey and satisfying. This is great. And look at our wonderful cider fizz. And our whoopie pies, I did the larger ones too. Sometimes I like the little ones because they're the big ones. It's like a meal too. So I'm going to ask my guest Louisa to come up too. And what do you think? What different things would you do with this, Louisa, with the whoopie pies?
Obviously, with the whoopie pies, you can add pecans. If you crush up pecans, and you can roll the pie all around the edge, and you'll have it rimmed around the edge.
Yeah, where the filling is.
Where the filling is,
oh,
yes.
Nice.
I've also, at holiday time, if you make a red velvet, you can use candy cane or chocolate, use the candy cane.
Chop them up and use those on the edge.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Well, come up and share with me the season. And this is for you.
Thank you.
And let's try one of these because we got to have dessert first. If you want to grab a big one or a little one.
We'll do a little one.
I know. These look good. And here's looking at you, kid.
Thank you.
Let's try and see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See if these are good.
Very good.
Life is good.
Oh, really good. Delicious.
So, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you all for watching. And I hope you try these meals with your family and friends. It's just a great time of year to celebrate the bounty and the harvest of the area, which we certainly do have in New England. Remember to email me for the recipes and tips and the tools, where to get the tools and resources. Thank you again for watching, and may the fork be with you.